My name is Divinity Roxx, and you are watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi, and welcome to ForBassPlayersOnly.com. I'm John Liebman, founder and first baseman. You know, a lot of people think they're too old or it's too late for them to learn how to play an instrument. So I created ForBassPlayersOnly.com for people over 50 who want to play bass, because I believe you're never too old and it's never too late to experience the joy and the pleasure of making music. ForBassPlayersOnly.com. And where do we get a lot of our inspiration for that? From young people like Divinity Roxx, who's with us this week. If you don't know Divinity, where have you been? She's a bass player, of course. She's a recording artist, a composer. She's toured with Beyonce. She's toured with Victor Wooten. She's performed countless shows all over the world. She's been on pretty much all the major TV shows, and she is now a proud college graduate, an alumna of the prestigious Berklee College of Music. Hello, Divinity.
Hey there, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, we did an online interview on ForBassPlayersOnly.com that was published on March 7th. Are you ready for this? 2011.
Wow, it's been that long?
That was the first one. And then we did an in-person video interview at one of the Warwick base camps in, I still can't say it, Markneukirchen.
Markneukirchen.
That's it. That interview we did in 2014.
Okay.
Now, you had done an awful lot before those interviews, and you have also done an awful lot since those interviews. So give us a few of the big highlights of what you've done.
Oh my God, since 2014. Whoa.
Well, since 2000, yeah, well.
2023. Well, I know right now I am in the midst of being extremely excited because I released a children's album called Ready, Set, Go, along with two books published by Scholastic. And the record is nominated for a Grammy. So I am right now in the throes of getting ready to go to music's biggest night on February 5th, my birthday, no less. So it's a lot of excitement happening around here. Lot of great things, but I'm just going to leave it there for now.
Okay. I did definitely want to ask you about that because I think you had kind of hinted at some of those things in the previous interviews when I said, what's in the future? And it's glad to see that you're achieving your goals and you're getting out there and you're doing it. I want to talk about the Berklee thing for a minute. My son graduated.
Oh, that's right.
Same time you did. That's why I was there. I was there with my wife, and we're sitting the night before the graduation. It was in some big sports arena kind of place. There was a concert, which was incredible. And I look on the stage. I said, "That looks like Divinity Roxx." I said, "Nah, that can't be." And then later, there was this most incredible rap I've ever heard. And to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest rap fan, but I know quality when I see it. It moved me. It was incredible. Because I don't know if you hold your breath for that long, or how do you speak so fast, and how do you get all those words out? I can understand everything you said. But what prompted it? Because you went to the other Berklee, you went to UC Berkeley in California with an equally strange spelling. But I think that was right around the time you started taking up the bass in the first place. So fill in some of those gaps for us. What prompted you? What inspired you to go to finish up your degree over at Berklee in Boston?
Well, I come from a family where education is the key to success. You know, my mother has been preaching education to me since I was a young girl. And I always dreamed of graduating from college, right? I went to UC Berkeley, yes. And that's where I picked up the bass. But I dropped out of UC Berkeley. I was studying to be a journalist, but I fell in love with the bass. So I left. And while my mom was so supportive of me, my dad was a little upset about it, but he ended up getting it because I ended up touring with Victor Wooten and going on tour with Beyonce. And my dad got to see all of that before he passed away. But over the years, I just wanted more. I wanted to learn more. There were some things that I had skipped in my knowledge of music production, and I wanted to strengthen my knowledge of music business. And I started thinking to myself, Berkeley Online was becoming very popular. It was accessible. And so I started thinking, oh, maybe I should just take a couple of classes online. It's funny because it happened also at a time when my career was slowing down a bit, and I started thinking, well, what's next for me? What am I going to do? You know, well, why not go back to school? I can't front. I'm one of those people who always loved school. I know there are so many creatives who hated school, but I always enjoyed learning and enjoyed school. And I think my mom instilled that in me when I was very young. So started taking 2 classes at a time, 3 classes a semester. And I started seeing that, wow, I could get my degree. Maybe I went to the wrong Berkeley the first time. And I got to graduate with all the students and I got to play. It was such an incredible experience.
You did the whole thing online?
I did the whole thing online. So I took some credits from UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
They accepted some of those credits. There's a thing at Berkeley College of Music that's called prior learning credit. So there was some credit I had gotten from all the work I'd been doing in the world. I knew what the blues scale was. I knew what, there were some things that I had learned along the way. So I had to demonstrate them and write some papers to demonstrate all the things that I had learned prior to attending. So I got some credit that way, but everything else I learned online, and I was able to directly apply it to my career and my life. And I think that I have to say this. I think that there was something about going to Berkeley Online that helped me achieve this incredible feat of being nominated for a Grammy on this last record.
You were talking so excitedly and so fast, I didn't get a chance to say congratulations.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a happy birthday, but I hope this year you have an especially happy birthday.
Listen, it's going to be happy no matter what because it's my birthday and I'm celebrating being nominated, which is not an easy thing to do.
No, it is not.
No.
You inspire all of us. Dare I ask, what else is keeping you busy these days? It's not that that's not enough.
Oh, well, I just co-composed some music for a play written by Idris Goodwin. It's a children's play that premiered in Seattle Children's Theater called The Boy Who Kissed the Sky. A good friend of mine from back in the day when I was in my early 20s jamming around Atlanta and I co-composed music for this play. His name is Eugene H. Russell IV. And the play is actually going to be premiering in Atlanta at the Alliance Theater starting April 1st. So if you're in Atlanta, I recommend you see this play. It's loosely based off of the imagination of what Jimi Hendrix's childhood relationship with music would have been. So I'm working on that music. I'm working on a one-woman show that's going to be premiering at Crossroad Theater in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's going to run from May 27th through June 4th. It's called Star Child, The Ballad of Debbie Walker. And it's really a one-woman show about my life up until this point and how music has been this key to open up not only my imagination, but just open up my life in a way that I had no idea would be opened up just by picking up the bass guitar.
I thought the name Debbie Walker was a well-guarded secret.
No, not anymore. The word is out. My mom named me Debbie Walker. Let's just put it out there. People are going to know anyway.
You heard me mention at the beginning, I didn't actually use the term old rockers, but that is how a lot of our students at ForBassPlayersOnly.com identify.
Okay.
And I want to ask you, especially since you're so passionate about education, that those are the people that I'm attracting, mostly men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, sometimes older. They're not trying to set the world on fire. They're not trying to make a career out of playing the bass. They just want to play. A lot of them want to get together with their buddies and just play some classic rock riffs or some blues shuffles or maybe some walking bass, a little funk R&B. Mm-hmm. And another thing that comes with becoming an old rocker and getting up into those age ranges are things like arthritis and tendonitis, and a lot of them are recovering from surgery. And it's not like I'm running a geriatric ward, but I'm just saying,
I get it.
I have arthritis. I've got a bad back. So I'm just trying to set a context for you. Keeping all that in mind, what advice do you have for those people like that who want to learn to play bass? What's important? What should they be thinking about?
Having fun. Remember why you wanted to get into it in the first place. You don't got to be perfect. You don't got to go and learn all the modes and the scales and all the theory and the circle of fifths and triads and all those things. Learn the songs that you want to play, those songs that made you happy when you were a kid, when you hear them that bring joy. And get with your friends and just do it. Don't put any pressure on yourself. You don't have to go get the biggest, greatest rig or the most expensive bass, even though people like that generally have some money to spend. And if you want to go spend a good bit on a nice instrument, do it by all means if that makes you happy. But don't forget that you wanted to play so that it would bring you joy. You don't want it to bring you stress. Music isn't supposed to be stressful, so don't forget to have fun. That's
So
all. That's the number one thing. That's all. Don't forget to have fun.
So important. I do want to make one comment though. A lot of them are really hungry to learn music theory and the scales and the modes and the circle of fifths and those kinds of things. My whole thing is, okay, you learned all your scales, you learned all your modes, you can play them all inside and out. Do you know what you're supposed to do with all those notes in
You're
order
supposed to groove.
make music to groove? Absolutely. And that's where some of them have trouble. And that's where I can
Mm.
to grooving and making the music feel good. But yeah, absolutely. Having fun. I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah, one of the things that Victor always talks about is making your scales sound like music. Play when if you are gonna go there, like you said, a lot of your audience does want to learn, uh, or they do want to learn all the theory and the modes but when you do that stuff, make it fun.
I am all about that. My scales groove
Yeah, it
in my
should.
membership and in my digital course, Power Grooving. I have a whole module called Scales That Groove,
Yeah.
with a straight eight rock thing and with a walking bass and with shuffle and funk R&B, and they love it. They absolutely love it. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the last interviews, when I asked you about the future, you mentioned working with kids. You mentioned writing books. You mentioned you'd like to write a musical and a Broadway type show, a theater type show. And you've done all those things, which is incredible. So you know where I'm going with this. What
What's
about
happening next?
what about the future? What else are you? Because a lot of people say, well, I've played with so many people, and I was a side man or a side woman, and I've got so much of my own stuff. I'd like to do an album of my own stuff. Like almost everybody says that, and then the next thing they say is, but it's not going to be one of those bass records. I hate bass records. But what about it in your case? You're someone who does what they say they're going to do. So what are you, or maybe you're just thinking about, someday, or I've always wanted to, or, someday I'm going to fill in the blank.
Okay, well, you know what? Because apparently, when I tell you on your platform what I want to do, it happens, right? So, there are a few things that I'd like to do. I'd like to do more film and television, make music for film and television. I actually wouldn't mind being in front of the camera, uh, in a big movie. Having like a really cool role in a movie. That would be cool. Um, I'd like to. Oh man, I've actually been thinking about and toying with this idea of touring again as a side person because I've released albums. I'm always going to release music. I just feel like that's just who I am and part of what I do. But I've kind of been thinking, I kind of want to go on tour with somebody else and just play some bass. It's what I kind of want to do lately is just play bass. So there's no telling, man, you know. I want to play the Super Bowl. Did y'all hear me? Super Bowl. Divinity wants to play the Super Bowl. Call her. Call her to play the Super Bowl. I'm about to throw all my dreams out there, man. I want to
Would you want to go out with Beyonce again, or is that like a box that you've ticked and you're satisfied, and you know you've done it and you'd like to do something else?
Oh man, she has some of the greatest musicians playing with her right now. Who knows? You know, I don't know. That could be fun. It could be fun. You know, you never know. Um, you know, I admire her so much. I love her so much. I'm so proud of her. She's nominated this year in like 15 categories or something, and she may be this award, the 65th annual Grammy Award show may be the award show where she becomes the most winningest artist of all time. It's crazy, right? Um, but yeah, there are other things with kids I want to do. I've been toying with this idea of doing a summer camp, like a sleepaway camp for kids, where we play music, we study the theater, and we put on a show, and we also play sports, because sports was a big deal for me as a kid. And I think that when you move your body and you exercise, that you set yourself up, you set your older self up to alleviate some of the issues that we find ourselves having, you know? So who knows, man? I'm just gonna go with it. And the universe always brings me gifts. I'm just gonna stay open to it and be receptive to everything that the Most High has for me.
You can't help feel good talking to Divinity Roxx.
Oh, come on.
Makes you feel good. What would you be if you weren't a bass player? Something outside of music.
I would be a lawyer. I
Really?
would probably, my wife says I would be a public defender. That's what she said. She was like, if you were a lawyer, you'd be a public defender. I might, you know, do civil rights law, or um I don't think I would be in the music industry. I wouldn't do music industry law. I would be somebody who was championing other people and those people who can't fight for themselves. I believe that that's what I would have done. Either that, or I would have gone off into journalism. But if I would have stayed on that track, I think journalism would have fallen off, and I would have gone the route of law. I fell in love with my political science professor. He was so good, and he had me so wrapped up in how he taught. I mean, I almost changed my major to political science because he was that good. And I think if I would have stayed, yeah, I definitely would have become a lawyer.
My wife is a recovering lawyer.
A recovering lawyer. I mean, that's what you know. Hey,
I say that because she's from Canada.
I
And
get it. I get
when
it.
we got married, she came to the US, and she wouldn't have been able to practice law without jumping through all kinds of hoops,
Yeah.
possibly going to law school all over again. And she said,
Wow.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Well, thank you so much, Divvy. Divvy, can I call you Divvy? I know you.
Absolutely. People call me Divvy. I like it.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's I said it before, but it is very inspiring, and you are one funky person, and I wish I
Hey.
had a fraction of your energy. Thanks so much for joining us this week. Much luck, continued success. I'm thinking now, the Grammys, you said February 5th.
Yep.
I think this interview is scheduled to go up February 6th.
About
So
Marley's birthday.
is it? I didn't know.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be all right.
Right.
Ooh, yeah.
So I'd like to say, hey, you were great last night. Congratulations. We were all pulling for you, and you came through. So I'll be so bold and say it. Congratulations. And I
Oh
can't wait to
man,
see
thanks.
what you're going to do next.
Hey, let's go. I mean, let's not be like another 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, let's not wait another 10 years for an interview. Let's hook up again soon.
Well, you're going to have big time far out news to talk about, so you make it easy. Yes, let's definitely do that soon. I
All
look
right, I'll
forward
talk
to
to you
that.
soon. Thank
All
you.
right. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. I'm John Liebman, founder and first baseman. A lot of people think they're too old or it's too late for them to learn how to play an instrument. So I created ForBassPlayersOnly.com for people over 50 who want to play bass, because I believe you're never too old and it's never too late to experience the joy and the pleasure of making music. ForBassPlayersOnly.com. I'm John Liebman. I will see you all next week. Thanks again to our special guest, Divinity Roxx. In the meantime, let's play bass.